Hello, friends, and welcome to this Secrets of the 1% Club. Once again, an amazing person joining me in this conversation. The Secrets of 1% Club is not just a book that I have written, but it is a message that I want to spread in the world. And I'm meeting some amazing people who have taken this decision to follow their heart. And what does it mean to follow their heart? And we go speaking to different people. And today I'm speaking to one really amazing person, Amit. I know him for many years. It took me a lot of time, it took me a lot of time to figure this out. And I had crossed the 50 before I actually took this call of taking that, going and following my heart. But Amit did it at a very young age and really, and, people who say, how can I do this? And somebody who's done it at the peak of his career when he was actually, it was beginning of his career and almost, he was doing pretty well in the IT world, in the startup world, where he was sitting with tons of money and tons of possibilities for himself. And that's the time when Amit decides to, just change track completely. Amit, tell us very quickly, what were you doing at that point of time? What was going on?
Hey, so when I quit IT, I was the general manager of a business unit of VMware in India. It was a business unit by the name Zimbra. It was a company that I started up in India along with my boss. So I was the second employee of the company in India. I had ESOPs. It was bought over for about $350 million by Yahoo. So it was a pretty handsome sum in terms of what ESOPs were going to mature.
Absolutely.
And then
350 million. When was this? What was the year?
When it was bought over, I think 2009.
2009. Okay, wow.
That's when it was bought over. And when I quit was the year when the first set of my ESOPs matured. So I had a certain amount of money in the bank, and there were 2 more years where I would probably encash a lot of money if I just stayed there. But it just didn't seem to make sense. So I was doing sales for the whole of APAC. I was handling a 40-member team, but it wasn't satisfying. So
what was that feeling, Amit? What do you mean by that? What is this crazy stuff here? You're doing well in life. You're making so much of money. There's a whole career in front of you. So what was that gap that you were feeling? What was it really? Can you just explain that?
There is a sense of, like, when we started the company in India, there was a sense of doing something that was novel, that was really different from what the industry was actually doing at that time. And it involved a lot of hard work in about 24 hours, 48 hours of working, setting up servers, setting up huge systems for clients, doing proof of concepts. It was great. We used to get time for 20 minutes and clients would just be awed and amazed at our presentations, and they'd sit there for 2.5 hours. So it had a certain feel at that time. Once it was taken over, it became kind of what we set out to do had already been done. And there isn't really anything new that's happening out here. It's just repeating the same stuff again and again. The motivation kind of died. And then there was also this sense of there's something more to this. There's something more to what I want from life. I was already working with GD at that time. It had been about 2 years since I was working with him. So there was already the sense of there's something bigger to life than just this. And though it seemed like a pretty stupid thing at that time for most people, it seemed as the most logical and the most sane thing for me to do. And by grace, everyone in family and everyone outside supported it. So it just happened.
And so, did you have any fears when you were taking this decision? Were there any fears running in your mind?
So there were the standard fears, but there was also this understanding that because I'd been in the startup space and because I was known to be the person who can do startups in India, if I really wanted to go back, it would have been easy for me. So when I quit, that was one thing that was there in my mind. So it wasn't as fearful. But of course, there were fears. There were fears about leaving that much money on the table. It's like a huge opportunity cost. It's not even money I can speak of now. So those fears were there. There were fears about the image. I was something that pretty much everyone I knew respected. And once I quit and do something else, the respect that comes along with those tags is pretty much gone. So I've seen a lot of people, I'd already seen a lot of people feeling that kind of stuff before. So that was another fear which was there. Over a period of time, once the 1 year was over and whatever money had come in through the ESOPs was gone, there were fears about money and finances. But the best thing about it was that there was support all through. So we kept working on the fears, we kept clearing the fears, we kept bringing up the worst case scenarios, feeling them in the heart, living them in the heart, knowing that in spite of this, we can be happy. And that kept bringing up the motivation again and again. So yes, there were fears, there were a lot of fears, but they kept coming up and we kept working on them.
So how has this journey been? I mean, now when you look back, that you gave up and what you took up also is very interesting. You went into healing.
Yes.
Completely looks like an unrelated field from what you were doing. So how did this happen altogether? I mean, this is like, completely different paths. How did you land up here and how does it look now when you look back?
So 2 years into self-work with GD basically told me that this is something that is more valuable for anyone in the world. So
you might have to introduce GD. I know GD, but the world doesn't know.
GD is basically my teacher. He's the one who was with me all through this journey. And every time there was a down in terms of feeling, in terms of emotion, in terms of fears, he was the one who helped me realize that what you're doing is much more than what you're fearful of. So the fears automatically would take a backseat because the importance and the love and the joy of what we were doing together, that was what was the primary thing that we needed to focus on. Once the focus came back on that, the fears would take a backseat and it would be a joyful journey again.
So tell us about your healing work from the startup to, I've seen some of the most beautiful pyramids that you make. The
yes.
It's like completely 360,
It's like when I decided that I need to do something different, the one line which GD gave me, which I held as the guiding thing, is that you like healing, you like self-work, and you like technology. Look for something that's going to join the two. So we scouted the world for the best alternative healing devices. We found the best one. It didn't suit us because my technological background and my desire to make changes and improve and customize and take it higher would not work with that one. So we chose another one, which was a German device, which we imported from Germany. And basically, a lot of my engineering background, electronics background, even my IT background was used in the customizations, was used in creating new devices. And we went into it with that intention, that we don't negate completely what we've learned in the past. We use it as much as possible. So we used it as much as possible. Slowly, the thing developed into its own stuff. It got its own life. Then we moved into how can we help people who don't even connect with us for healing? So then again, it went to how can my engineering background help in creating stuff, creating devices that energize spaces, that lift up the energy of people. So that's where the pyramids came in, the tensor rings came in, the sacred geometry came in. So I can weld, I can do carpentry, I can make those pyramids myself. So all of this stuff that I'd learned all through came in handy in the making of that stuff. All of my management stuff probably will come in handy now because it's been about 10 years since I've been doing this and I've been a recluse and I've not spoken to anyone, and it's completely focused on self-work and creating stuff. So the management stuff would probably come handy now when I go out in the world and actually present what I've become and what we've got. So everything's going to be used. Everything is always going to be used if you're open to how to use it. So it was an amazing shift because I still code, I still write my software, I still do automation for stuff, but it's all focused on getting the best healing and the best energy out to as many people as possible. So they've come together very beautifully.
Fantastic, Amit. Amit, one more thing that I want to ask you is, people who are sitting there and who are, on the edge in terms of finding their calling, finding what to do in life. What is it that from your learning that you would want to share with such, with people who are there, out there in the world, who are grappling with this? from your experience, what would you like to share with the people?
The one most important thing is have a coach or a guide or someone you can sound your ideas off with other than you, who not only motivates you, but can also help you clear your fears, can help you show a different perspective, can guide you towards what's possible for you. So that's what my teacher GD used to call a seed. Someone who can see your seed and see the tree that's there inside the seed. So having someone who can help you clear fears, do processes with you, help you learn, do meditation, handle your stress levels when that happens. A person who's going to be there with you through the journey. Having one person like that keeps you from burning out. It keeps you from quitting when you're low. So it's a beautiful thing to have a support like that. And of course, we want to follow our heart and our passion, but identifying how that passion solves problems is a critical part of what you're gonna do in the future. So when GD said merge those two things together, that's when it clicked. So you have a passion. What problem does it solve and where does it solve it? Once those merge together, it's going to be a beautiful journey. It's going to be something you love all through. It's going to be something you have fun doing all through. Just having the passion probably would not be enough. So that's what I would say is probably the most important thing that helped me all through the journey from the start till now, and it's still helping me.
So key takeaways: passion is needed.
Yes.
But what is the problem you're solving? When you tied up with that really, starts opening up things for you.
Yes.
Second thing you said is about having a good coach.
Absolutely. Yes.
A mentor or somebody who is a friend, philosopher, guide, who is there with you in this journey of yours. Because there will be ups and downs. There'll be times when you want to quit, and somebody who is there to hold you in that period. So Absolutely. These are the two things that I think I pick up from what you have shared with the world. Beautiful that point is for anybody who's looking at how do I take this jump and where do I go. And about the logical pieces, because logical pieces that people have is how will my family run? Because if I just quit my job or where I'm sitting and I just go and follow my passion and I try to solve the problem in the world, I still have got loans to pay. And what's those practical things that you would say that, you learned on this journey?
So there's two things here. One thing is, of course, before you take the plunge, you work on your fears, but that's something that you can say, but people won't connect to, because for me, I had a year's worth of salary sitting in the bank when I quit. In spite of the fact that that wasn't enough, but I had at least that much. On a practical level, usually when I work with clients who are wanting to take the plunge, if it's a couple, I'd probably say, let one person do it first. Not because it's not going to work, not because you're doubting it, because it's going to give you a sense of freedom, because it's going to give you a sense of, I can take a little more time to get this through. If we are going to go into it with the fear that I have 6 months or a year and that's all I have, the fear itself is going to kill your creativity. So having some money banked is definitely helpful. If you have no money banked, it pretty much is about working big time on your fears, not going into it with your fear, having someone who brings you out of the fear whenever the fear comes up. It can happen. It's possible, but I would say for the logistical stuff, and I don't mean 1 year worth of your luxury in the bank. I mean 1 year worth of your living in the bank. It's you don't have to step down your lifestyle, but you don't have to overspend either. So your lifestyle remains the same. My lifestyle pretty much remained the same. My daughter went to the same schools. I was still living in a proper good house. I still had a car. It didn't mean that I had to drop down my lifestyle, but spending on luxury vacations went down. So you basically take a step back from the excess spending, but you don't change your lifestyle. If you change your lifestyle, what happens is that you go into regret. And regret is again a negative energy that we don't want to have. So Keep the lifestyle, keep the primary things that are important for you in your lifestyle the same. Cut on the other stuff, have some money banked. It's going to be a journey. It's going to take time. It's better if you have a partner who's earning. I didn't have one, but I had a partner who was very supportive, who took care of everything else when I was doing this. So it's the logistical things are there. They cannot just saying that if you have the passion, go for it, go follow your heart. It makes sense. But if we haven't cleared the fears, you probably are not going to succeed, because the fears are what pull you down and take you back. If you've worked on your fears, of course, you can go with it.
Amit, now it's been time that you have followed doing what, and you've gone through all this process.
Yes.
Do you have any regrets that, if I had not done this, kabhi wo aata hai mind mein, if I had not done this, I would be sitting with tons of
let's say this.
money in the bank?
Regrets will never fully go away. But how much percent of the time are they going to be there? For me, it's probably 0.1%. When I look at my colleagues basically buying Mercedes SUVs, there is a thought that comes that I could have bought that. But when I look at their lives, there is a thought that I am way, way, way better off. I have much more abundance. I have much more love. I have much more peace, and I have much more satisfaction.
Expand on that. What is that? Looking at their life.
The lives are pretty much focused on and driven by one thing, which is career, ambition, money, growth, titles. And there is a lot that is lost in that. There is family that is lost. There is your own self that is lost. There is your own growth that is lost. There is love between brothers that is lost. It's a game that would never basically end. And you could spend your entire life getting the better car and the better house and the better friends and the better parties. But what I have today is something that you wouldn't have all through life, which is a sense of I can sit down and close my eyes anywhere in the world, on a railway station, in my beautiful house here in the jungle, in the city, and I have the peace, I have the joy, I can smile, I can feel happy.
Beautiful.
I'm satisfied with what I'm doing. I don't have to push myself to do what I'm doing.
Beautiful, Amit. I think so. We'll end with that. This piece that what you have just shared. That what you have is that ability to be contented and peaceful wherever you are, whether you're sitting right now in the jungle, or whether you get into a city, or whether you're on a crowded railway station. And that is something. Otherwise, the message that I'm getting is also that otherwise, when you're chasing something and it's constant chase, it looks like a treadmill. I almost say that it's like a treadmill that you're on, which doesn't have a stop button.
Yes, it is. Absolutely.
And you cannot get off it. So you just keep on running, but you really find that you don't go anywhere. You're at the same spot.
Exactly.
So it's not taking you anywhere, but you still find that ye ho gaya, uske baad mein it doesn't, you get one designation, it doesn't stop. You want the next one. Absolutely. You get one car, it doesn't stop. It's the next one. And this goes on and goes on and goes on. It's like a treadmill that you're on, constantly running. I think that's.
And this doesn't also mean that you won't get a better car. Even when I am following my passion, I still bought a better car. But it's not out of I have to get it.
Yeah.
You can still, your lifestyle upgrade. I stay in the jungle. I have another house in the city. It's your lifestyle upgrades when you follow your heart. It does. But it's not a compulsion. You're not doing anything for upgrading the lifestyle. It's naturally occurring.
That's again a beautiful point that you're adding to this one more dimension that you're adding. It's not about that, the bigger car and all that. It is largely about there's no compulsion to have that, and you're happy with what is there. And to say that, I've been to this place where GD stays and where you stay. I can say that you cannot buy that kind of stuff in the city. You'll never get that kind of stuff that what you have. Thank you, Amit, for sharing. And if some people have to find out about your work or what you're doing, where can they find it? What your stuff? Yeah, can you share your website?
corehealingindia.com. That's the website. And of course, on LinkedIn, when you share it, I
Yeah,
probably do that. Yeah.
so it's called the Core India Healing.
corehealingindia.com.
corehealingindia.com. So to see the work of Amit and what he's doing, amazing stuff, you can go to his website and check out his work and see and connect with him. Thank you, Amit. Thanks for joining me in this conversation. Let's hope that this message reaches to as many people who are sitting on the sidelines.
Absolutely.
They find that what you have found.
Absolutely. That's the prayer. That's the prayer.
Prayer.
Absolutely. Thank
Fantastic.
you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.